I think I said that because Kingsman was being a loser.
You know that fake energy situation? When someone smiles in your face but moves completely different behind closed doors? That is exactly what Kingsman just exposed with Cece. And this time, it was not just talk. He came with receipts, real ones, screenshots, full Discord logs, timestamps, and private messages that paint a very different picture than what people were shown publicly. What started as a messy Marvel Rivals tournament argument turned into a full-blown breakdown of someone's credibility in real time. This situation went left fast. Cece went from trying to control the narrative to getting caught contradicting herself over and over. Once the documents dropped, the internet did not hesitate. The general reaction was basically, "We have seen enough," and the consequences followed immediately. Sponsors started backing away quietly, then publicly, and within less than 2 days, multiple deals were gone. No speculation needed. The timeline speaks for itself. For anyone who missed the beginning, here is the setup. Kingsman was removed from a $40,000 Marvel Rivals tournament after being labeled toxic. That label spread fast. He responded by showing his side of the story, including clips and messages that showed he was not flaming teammates, but asking them to lock in and take the match seriously. Nothing wild, nothing abusive. After that, Cece and a few others released public statements.
I don't think Kingsman's a loser. I think he's a good player who just wants to win. I said that because Kingsman was being a loser. You just criticized and demoralized my teammate for an hour, repeatedly ignoring our mentions to stop. Like, that's loser behavior.
Apologies were posted, accountability was claimed. Most people assumed that was the end of it. Quiet wrap up, lesson learned, everyone moves on. But behind the scenes, something else was happening. While Cece was posting apology threads and presenting herself as misunderstood online, she was privately messaging Kingsman in a completely different tone. Supportive, in D-Miz agreeable, almost friendly. That contrast is where everything fell apart. Kingsman decided he was done protecting anyone's image and dropped the full document. The document opens with Discord screenshots that immediately flip the public story. In the messages, someone Kingsman believes is Cece, based on context and prior conversations, is allegedly messaging Z's boyfriend Capel. The message pushes the idea of using an alternate account to clip content anonymously. That single detail alone shifted how people viewed everything that came after. The messages get way uglier once you read them in full. One line stands out immediately. Download clips. If there's anything that can help us get him kicked off the team. That alone tells you this was never about one bad moment or one misunderstanding. This was active planning. Screenshots show someone from that circle talking about compiling footage specifically to build a case against Kingsman, not to solve the issue, not to talk it out, just to get him removed. What makes it worse is the follow-up tone. Kingsman, like everybody else, is replaceable. That line rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, especially considering Kingsman was one of their strongest players. Calling your top performer disposable while also benefiting from his skill is a nasty look. Then they added that he was only playing for the money, like that was some kind of moral flaw. This was a $40,000 tournament. Wanting to win the prize pool is the entire point. That money was not pocket change either. He was open about needing it for school expenses. That is not greed. That is reality. Publicly, Cece claimed she had nothing to do with getting him kicked. Privately, the screenshots tell a different story. Someone in their group was actively trying to justify the decision after the fact, and Cece never shut that down. Instead, she distanced herself publicly while staying involved behind the scenes. After Kingsman posted his first video explaining his side, Cece slid into his DMs, and the contrast between private messages and public posts is hard to ignore. Her tone was not apologetic. It was demanding. She told him to handle the so-called NPCs in her Discord and on social media. Not asked, told. Kingsman responded calmly. He explained that he already told viewers not to harass anyone multiple times in his video, and said if she had Twitch usernames, he would ban them himself. That response was measured and reasonable. Cece's reply is where things really fell apart. She said people think she is responsible for banning him, then added, "All I said was, I agree with Basim. He was going to boot you anyway, no matter what I did." That statement does not help her case. If someone was getting kicked, no matter what, agreeing with the decision serves no purpose unless you support it. She could have said she disagreed. She could have said she tried to stop it. Instead, she openly admits she co-signed the move, then got upset that people noticed. Once the screenshots went public, People immediately started pointing out the contradictions. That is when the tone of the messages shifted again. This time, it turned into a guilt trip. Cece messaged Kingsman saying she wished he had asked for clarification before posting what she called that God-forsaken video. She followed it up by saying she was dealing with panic attacks and mass banning people across multiple platforms. Then came the pressure. She told him to make another post or delete the video if he really cared. This moment changed how a lot of people saw her. Instead of addressing the facts in the screenshots, she leaned on emotional leverage. Mental health was brought into the conversation not as context, but as a tool. The implication was clear. If Kingsman did not take the video down, he was responsible for her distress. That did not sit right with a lot of viewers. Here is the reality, and this part matters. Anxiety and panic attacks are real, and they should always be taken seriously. But they do not excuse harmful behavior. They do not justify trying to silence someone. They do not explain two completely different stories being told in public and private. In the same messages where she mentioned panic attacks, she was still being hostile and demanding. That contradiction made the mental health angle feel strategic rather than sincere. Kingsman did not fold. He told her clearly that the VOD was staying up. He said nothing was taken out of context and that he was not deleting evidence just to make the situation more comfortable for her. That response seemed to push things over the edge. After that, Cece accused him of throwing her under the bus for views. She claimed his own actions got him removed and that he just could not accept it. Then she escalated again, accusing him of harassing Zaza for an extended period and upsetting her, saying that after being told to stop, the harassment allegedly multiplied back onto her. That accusation became another flashpoint. Viewers went back to the clips. What they saw was Kingsman asking a teammate to switch characters during a competitive match. No insults, no personal attacks, just in-game communication focused on strategy. In competitive esports, that is normal. That is how teams try to win. The irony is hard to ignore. After Kingsman was removed, the team's performance dropped. Losses piled up, and suddenly, the player labeled as the problem looked a lot more like the missing piece. But bringing it back to reality for a second, if asking a teammate to swap off Black Widow for a better team composition counts as harassment, then competitive gaming as a whole is finished. Every serious player communicates like that. Strategy is not bullying. Shot calling is not abuse. That is literally how coordinated teams function, especially when real money is on the line. What made people pause was Cece claiming she was now receiving harassment 10 times worse than what Kingsman faced. That comparison does not hold up. Kingsman lost his spot in a major tournament, was publicly branded as toxic, and watched his reputation take a hit in front of thousands of people. That kind of label sticks, especially in esports spaces where perception is everything. Cece, on the other hand, was facing backlash because people were reacting to her own messages after they became public. Those are not the same situations. At this point, it started looking less like she was overwhelmed and more like she was upset that the narrative slipped out of her control. Once people began connecting the dots, the tone shifted again. After the private messages, the pressure, and the attempts to get the video taken down, Cece posted a public statement. She said she was in the middle of class when she saw everything and wanted to be clear. She claimed the DMs involving Kaplan were not her. She admitted to flaming Kingsman but said she had been trying to apologize since that night. The problem is the internet does not just take statements at face value anymore. Community notes reacted almost instantly. People zoomed in on the Discord screenshots and started comparing details, profile pictures, badges, user markers, things that are hard to fake and harder to explain away. The evidence did not line up with her denial, and once that happened, the story collapsed in real time. After that, she tried the familiar exit strategy, saying she just wanted to move on, asking people to stop, framing continued discussion as bullying. But accountability does not work like that. You do not get to attack someone, deny it, get caught, and then decide the conversation is over because it is uncomfortable. Sponsors were watching all of this unfold, and they acted fast. Within roughly 48 hours, Cece started losing partnerships. Solaris Gaming released a statement saying they were informed of the situation and had decided to remove her from Solaris and its creator program. Shortly after, Infinity Mice followed with their own statement, making it clear they do not support behavior that targets or disrespects other creators. At that point, the consequences stopped being hypothetical and became very real. And those statements ended with one clear message: the partnership would not be continuing. When companies move that quickly, it is not about internet drama or people being sensitive. It is about risk. Brands do not walk away unless the behavior is so clearly indefensible that staying quiet would hurt them more than cutting ties. At that point, the optics were impossible to ignore. Things got even worse for Cece when an older clip resurfaced. In the clip, she openly talks about how drama and cancellations drive engagement. She explains that people blow up, stay relevant, and gain attention through controversy.
Honestly, I'm not a drama farmer, but then I saw everyone drama farming on Marvel Rivals, and I was like, let me make some money too, bro. Let me get some viewership too. Loki, this is my chance. I was always thinking, you know, when people like get canceled and then they pop off on views, well, they stay relevant by getting in drama. Like, let me farm for once in my freaking 6 years of content creation.
A lot of viewers took that as more than just commentary. To them, it sounded like an admission, like she understood exactly how outrage cycles work and was willing to lean into them. If that was the strategy, it backfired completely. She did get attention, but not the kind that helps build a career. Instead of growth, she got scrutiny. Instead of sympathy, she got receipts pulled up. And instead of staying relevant in a positive way, she became an example people pointed to when talking about self-inflicted downfall. Meanwhile, Lucy, the teammate who told Kingsman to shut up during the match, doubled down publicly. She said her behavior was completely valid and showed no interest in walking anything back.
I did do it at wrong times, I do admit, but in regards to me telling him to shut the f up, that is the only thing I think I am 100% justified in, because Zaza said, "You're making me feel like sh."
That stance only added more tension. Then leaked DMs between Lucy and Kingsman surfaced. In those messages, she attempted to apologize while also insisting he had done things wrong. It was a half apology at best. No ownership, no clarity. Just enough regret to soften the image without actually taking responsibility. As for Za and her boyfriend Kaplan, both of them immediately set their Twitter accounts to private once the backlash intensified. Za later posted a long statement claiming she had no knowledge of the Google Doc Kaplan created. She said she was not involved and did not know what was being written. The problem is, there is existing footage that contradicts that claim. In a stream clip, Za talks about Kaplan working on a document and gathering evidence. That clip made it difficult for people to accept her explanation at face value. Once again, the pattern repeated. One version of events said publicly, another version suggested by clips and messages. By this point, trust was already gone. And once that happens online, it is almost impossible to get back. So when you zoom out and look at everything together, the biggest issue is simple. None of their stories line up. The timelines clash, the statements contradict the messages, and the explanations keep changing depending on what gets exposed next. That is why so many people stopped giving the benefit of the doubt. It stopped being confusing and started looking intentional. And here is the irony that nobody can ignore. In the end, Kingsman came out on top. His Twitch channel blew up past 20,000 subscribers, his support doubled, and people who never even watched him before showed up just because they respected how he handled the situation. Instead of getting buried, he gained momentum. Instead of losing credibility, he gained trust. On the other side, Cece lost sponsors, got hit with non-stop community notes, and became a real-time example of what happens when you try to play both sides. She wanted to be the victim in public while acting hostile in private. That disconnect is what ended everything. Not the clips, not the tournament, not even the drama itself. She thought apologies alone could clean things up while the same behavior continued behind the scenes. Once that contradiction was exposed, even people who genuinely wanted to defend her had to step back and admit something was off. At that point, there was nothing left to spin. And let's be clear about what this was really about. This was never just a Black Widow pick or team composition disagreements. Competitive teams argue. That happens every day. This situation was about how someone treated another person, how far they were willing to go to damage his reputation, and how fast they shifted into victim mode once the truth surfaced. Cece's career is probably not finished forever. Internet careers rarely end cleanly, but recovery is not going to come from panic attack references or move on posts. It is going to take accountability, consistency, and time. And even then, some damage does not fully reverse. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Cece deserved to lose her sponsors, or do you think the backlash went too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the BeyondFame channel, share it with someone who's been following this situation, and I'll see you in the next one.